As I continue this presentation, I'm going to move into the last phase of my analysis, which focuses on hockey as a symbol of healing. Saul's healing actually begins when he returns to St. Jerome's and steps back on the hockey rink where he first learned to play the game and confronts his memories. At this point, Saul recalls, "The rink was smaller than arena-sized one. I saw that now. Its corners were sharper and it was shorter by about 15 feet. The boards weren't as high as they should have been." This is really symbolic and important at this point, for as an adult, Saul sees the imperfections of his childhood rink. It's also at this point that Saul reveals to the reader that he was repeatedly raped and abused by Father Le Boutier. He also recalls that while the priest would rape him, he would say, "You are a glory, Saul." At this point, Saul recalls his memories of the white glory of the rink, of the snow-white stage. He remembers at this point clearing the rink with enthusiasm and using frozen horse turds, all with the promise that one day he would be able to play the game of hockey, one day when he was old enough. He mourns his lost childhood for the first time. He recalls how Father Le Boutier bought his silence by letting him clean the ice and promising him he would play when he was older. At this point as well, Saul confesses that he used the game of hockey to deny the truth about the abuse he experienced and to bury those memories of the abuses. He says, "I used the game to shelter me from seeing the truth, from having to face it every day. Later, after I was gone, the game kept me from remembering. As long as I could escape into it, I could fly away and never have to land on the scorched earth of my boyhood." In this way, hockey is used to deny the truth of what was happening to him as a child. However, hockey and stepping back on the rink at this point also becomes a way for Saul to confront his past and to start moving towards healing. At this point, and as part of his healing journey, Saul returns to God's Lake, where he had been previously with his grandmother, to remember his life prior to St. Jerome's and to continue to move towards healing. At God's Lake, he mourns the loss of his grandmother and his family. These are amongst the first times we actually see and hear about Saul crying. The only other time he cried in the novel was previously when him and the young children at the school had held the dying fish in their hands. It's at God's Lake that he has a vision of his family and of his grandmother who says, "You've come to learn to carry this place within you." And this is an important moment for Saul. It's an important moment where he reconnects with his family, with his sense of family, and with his sense of belonging in the world. It is after this journey that he's had at St. Jerome's, back on the old hockey rink, and at God's Lake, that Saul returns to the New Dawn Center, the Addiction Recovery Center, and begins to share his story with the reader. When Saul returns home, to the only home he's only ever known, which is Manitowatch, he is 33 years old. He once again speaks with the Kellys. He tells them the truth about what has happened to him, about how he had been abused at St. Jerome's. And they too confide that as students at St. Jerome's, they were also the victims of abuse. He also makes the decision to play hockey again, but this time he decides he wants to coach the Mines Bantam team. He says, "What I want to do is coach kids, native kids. I want to bring them the joy I found, the speed, the grace, the strength, and the beauty of the game. I want to give back." The novel actually ends with Saul joyous as he returns to the white glory of the ring. This time he's with his old friends from the Moose, and he's meeting their children, who are the young hockey players that he will now be coaching. As I end my presentation, I wanted to share with you some thoughts. This novel, for me, was a reminder of the horrifying experiences of residential schools in Canada. As a reader, I felt like I was being taken on a journey in this novel, not only through Northern Ontario. Indeed, I was Google mapping all the locations that I was going to, but also I felt like I was being taken through a journey through the darkness of Canadian racism. Yet, despite the horrors of the residential school that are presented in Indian Horse, this text is actually an uplifting novel. It shares with us and with the reader the joy of hockey and, more importantly, the power of family, love, and storytelling, and how through storytelling and through love and through connections with others, we can overcome oppression. It is, in fact, through storytelling and as part of his therapy at the New Dawn Center that Saul moves towards healing, and it's through hockey that he reconnects with his community.